Good afternoon, Malacañang Press Corps, and welcome to our press briefing today, September 10. Last September 3, the Philippines and France, through the French Directorate General of Civil Aviation and the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, signed an agreement to expand the Technical Cooperation Agreement on Aviation Safety. This reinforces the established framework of the agreement and also aims to enhance cooperation in air traffic management, infrastructure development, maintenance, and training. And to give us more details on this strengthened partnership between the Philippines and France, we have with us today Department of Transportation Secretary Jaime Bautista, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the French Republic to the Philippines, to the Republic of the Philippines, Her Excellency Marie Fontanelle, and General Manager of the Air France KLM for Southeast Asia and Oceania, Femke Kruse. Good afternoon, Mr. Secretary and Madam Ambassador and Ms. Kruse. Let's start with Secretary, sir.
Good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for attending this press briefing. This is quite an important one. I think it's an announcement that will make Filipinos happy because they will be able to fly non-stop from the Philippines to Paris and from Paris to the Philippines. And I would also like to thank Ambassador Marie Fontanelle for working hard to make this non-stop and direct flight happen. It was not easy to do it. We work closely with all the Philippine regulatory agencies, and we're happy that we will be announcing this today in the presence of Ambassador Fontanelle, together with the General Manager for Southeast and Oceania of Air France, Ms. Femke Kruse. Regarding that agreement that was signed early September, it is an MOU signed between the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines and the French Civil Aviation Authority. And this is to assist our agency for capacity building in improving safety and efficiency in managing the civil aviation of the country. France is advanced in terms of aviation policies, aviation practices, and we are happy that the government of France extended this assistance to the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines for us to be ensured of safe flights and airport operations here in the country. So in terms of what will be announced, I will give the floor to Ambassador Marie and Ms. Femke Kruse.
Thank you so much, Secretary, and good afternoon to everyone. Maganang Ponpo. I'm delighted to be here, actually. This is one of the more frequent questions I received since I was posted in the Philippines more than a year ago. Will there be again a direct flight from Manila to Paris? This is a question we could not answer last week when we had this signature ceremony. It was on the way, but now officially today it's possible to confirm. Let me mention some elements of the context here regarding the bilateral cooperation between our two countries. It's true that the Philippines used to be linked to many European capitals back then: Amsterdam, Frankfurt, London, Madrid, Rome, and Paris. But today, and for many years from now, it's the only major ASEAN country without a direct flight to Europe. For 20 years, the Philippines has been lacking a direct connection with my country, France, and for 5 years with the European Union. It means that the reopening of a direct route between the Philippines and Europe has been eagerly awaited, and I'm particularly proud and happy that it is with Air France and a direct connection Paris-Manila flight today. It puts an end to maybe an anomaly by reconnecting the Philippines with Europe and France. It testifies also, I think, to Air France's confidence in the Philippines market at a time when flights between Europe and the Philippines are set to increase by more than 4% a year between now and 2042. After a 20-year absence, Air France will reopen an office in the Philippines alongside its historic partner, which is present here, KLM, already present in the country. The direct non-stop service between the Philippines and France will probably most likely boost trade, tourism, exchanges between our two countries and more generally with the European Union. In terms of tourism, of course, with the connection of the two air hubs of Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris and Ninoy Aquino International Airport here in Manila, consolidating the role of France and the Philippines as a gateway to Europe and Southeast Asia in terms of trade at a time when negotiations on a free trade agreement are resuming with the EU. In terms of foreign direct investment, by removing a psychological barrier to trade and boosting the interest of French and European investors in a particularly dynamic Philippine market. The reopening of this direct route was made possible thanks to the invaluable help of Secretary Jamie Bautista and the opportunity also of the modernization of NAIA. Secretary Bautista's support was indispensable in facilitating all the formalities with the Civil Aeronautics Board, the CAB, and the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, the CAAP, whose Director General I would like also to thank today. And I also think about all your team behind you, Secretary, and particularly Under Secretary Bobby, who is here also with us today. The modernization of NAIA as part of the Build Better More program launched by President Marcos Jr. made this project possible. It's no coincidence that we are announcing the reopening of the line just a few days before the airport's privatization. I would like to sincerely thank Ramon Ang for his invaluable help also, and wish him every success in implementing this great project for the Philippines. The cooperation of the Philippines' two major airlines, Philippine Airlines and Cebu Pacific, was also invaluable. I would like to thank Captain Stanley Nang, Zander Lau, and Lance Gongkongwai for their help. The choice of December for the launch of the route has also a strong symbolic value. It's a real Christmas present, opening the line for the first weekend of the most important Burr month. It's also the weekend of the reopening of Notre Dame in Paris, 5 years after the fire that ravaged this monument to which Catholics all over the world are so attached. That is why it is really a great news today. It is now in our hands to make it a success in the long run. Mabuhay. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you, Madam Ambassador. And now let's hear from the Air France KLM General Manager, Madame Croce.
Thank you. Bonjour, good afternoon. Pleasure to be here with you today. Honorable Jaime Bautista, Secretary of the Department of Transportation, Her Excellency Marie Fontanelle, Ambassador of France to the Philippines, distinguished guests, and welcome media partners this afternoon. My name is Femke Kroese and I'm the General Manager for Air France and KLM for Southeast Asia and Oceania. And it's really a true pleasure, as mentioned also by the Ambassador, to be here with you today to make this announcement. We are very proud to expand our network, and we will announce today that we are launching Air France Manila to Paris starting on the 8th of December, and we will operate 3 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday. We will offer non-stop flights, so that's really the first, so to go to the city of Paris as per this date. And the flights will also be complementary with our already existing services of KLM Royal Dutch Airlines, which are actually operating on the other days of the week, so 4 times weekly on Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday. So combined, Air France and KLM, we will be offering daily services as from that date. We also offer very convenient night flights, so you will be arriving very early in the city of Paris to have the full day to explore. We are operating our A350-900 or the Airbus 350 series, which is also our new generation aircraft, so very environmental friendly. And actually in terms of CO2 emissions, it's 25% less than the prior aircraft that we were using. In terms of the cabin layout, we will be operating with 324 seats. 34 seats in the business cabin, 24 in premium, and 266 economy seats. And then to give you also the timings and the flight numbers, from Manila the flight number will be Air France 209, and it will depart in the evening at 9:50 p.m. and then it will arrive in Paris the following morning, very early, just before 6 a.m., 5 hours 50 a.m. in the morning. From Paris Charles de Gaulle, we will be operating with Air France 208, and it will depart from 10 hours 20 p.m. and will arrive in Manila the following day at 7:30 p.m. And the flight time, it will be approximately 14 hours for this direct service. 14, yes. Maybe also some information about the Air France KLM group. So we operate one of the most extensive networks not only in Europe but also worldwide. The group combines, so it's Air France KLM, but also we have a low-cost carrier Transavia. We are operating close to 300 destinations worldwide. So from Paris, we really open up to the rest of the world as well. And as a flagship carrier, Air France is of course promoting France, and that already starts when you fly on board of our aircrafts. So especially the gastronomy and the food and beverage is important for French people. And we work, for instance, with Michelin star chef for our business class cabins who are preparing the menu. And we are also serving champagne in all of the cabins, so in the economy cabin, premium and business cabin. Everybody can enjoy already a glass of champagne when taking off on our flights. So it's really the way to celebrate joie de vivre. So you can arrive in Paris in style. Our group is very committed also to the future, and we do find it important that we are playing also a role. So I was explaining already that we're starting to use more and more the new generation aircraft. So I'm very proud also that we will have that on the Manila route with the Airbus 350-900 series. But we also have made a commitment on sustainability as the Air France KLM group. And we have a commitment to reduce our CO2 emissions by 30%, by 2030. We are working on different angles. Of course, fleet renewal is one of the main ones. We're also having already a percentage of sustainable aviation fuel on board our flights. So this is really a strong commitment that we have as a front runner within the aviation industry. And by closing off, I would really like to thank, in particular, all the authorities for supporting, so Manila International Airport Authority, the Civil Aviation Board, the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, of course, Honorable Mr. Bautista, Secretary of the Department of Transportation, with us today, and also Honorable Undersecretary Roberto Lim, who is also with us today, Ambassador Her Excellency Marie Fontanelle, and of course the full French Embassy team for making this possible in a relatively short period. So our appreciation, and we really look forward to start the services here from the 8th of December and to welcome all of you on board the flight soon as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for all the details about the direct flight between Paris and Manila. I'm sure our friends in media have a lot of questions. They were so excited upon hearing the champagne. Okay, let's open the floor. Okay, Katrina Domingo, ABS-CBN.
Good afternoon, Secretary Bautista. How prepared is the NAIA in terms of receiving an expected influx of passengers from the opening of these direct flights? Because even without it, we have already encountered challenges continuously and consistently in the country's main gateway.
NAIA is always ready to accept these passengers. Of course, you know that NAIA is a very congested airport. And this is the reason why we are privatizing it and making some more improvements. No? But for this particular flight, NAIA is very much prepared. NAIA will work closely with the officials of Air France KLM, their ground handlers, their caterers, so that Air France will have a smooth operations here in the country. So no worries about getting some issues or problems for the passengers of this non-stop flight from Paris to Manila.
Follow-up question. You mentioned that the CAAP will work closely with the French Civil Aviation Authority to assist our agency for capacity building and improving safety and efficiency in managing the civil aviation. What aspects in particular will the French agency aid the Philippines in?
It's a very extensive cooperation. One is adopting best practices in the industry. This training of technical people is one important aspect. No? Also, we're looking at following their practices in terms of environmental protection. No? So it's a wide range of cooperation. No? And we really wanted to work with them because we don't want to experience what happened in early 2000 when the Philippines was blacklisted in EU. Remember during that time because we were blacklisted for non-compliance for international standards. No? We were blacklisted, and Philippine carriers were not allowed to operate in Europe. No? And also during that time, the Philippines was downgraded to Category 2 by the US FAA. No? Maybe you remember that, which resulted to non-expansion of routes by the Philippine carriers. So, during that time, Philippine Airlines bought new 777-300s, which should be operated to the U.S., but as a penalty for downgrading to Category 2, we were not able to use those new airplanes. Both from the U.S. cannot operate to the U.S. So those are the things that we don't want to happen. The International Civil Aviation Organization is now very strict in terms of regulating different aviation authorities, no? And there is a scheduled audit to be conducted by the International Civil Aviation Organization this coming year, early 2025, no? And with the assistance of the French DGAC, we should be able to perform well during the audit. Now, this is also in preparation for that audit.
Sir, last from my end, why did the DOTR decide to choose its French counterparts as their partners? Because in 2023, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said that he was quite keen on replicating the Gatwick Airport's practices. So why did the DOTR choose the French over the British this time around?
Actually, Gatwick Airport is just an airport operations. No? So airport operations is very different from the regulatory function of the Civil Aviation Authority. No? So I think the French DGAC, having had very good experience in regulatory and aviation operations, will be one of our best partners.
Okay. Can I add to that? Maybe just to answer also that when we signed the memorandum of cooperation last week, it was the kind of a renewal of vows. Actually, it was the fourth time that DGAC and the Filipino counterparts signed this agreement. So it's not new. Actually, it's a long-standing cooperation between DGAC and the Filipino authorities. I think it was the fourth time, so probably 2018.
Yeah.
It's every 2 years.
Yes.
Basically.
Thank you. Next question. Tristan Nodalo, Newswatch Plus.
Hi, Hi, good afternoon. I think the answer to my question has already been touched by Ms. Secretary Jaime, but I just want to get more insights on what happened before, why there were suspension of direct flights between the Philippines and France, and what changed now that you open it. And sir, if is it right that this is the first direct flight between the Philippines and a European country? Yeah. Could you enlighten us more about it?
On that question, is this the first direct flight? This is the first direct flight from Europe to the country during the term of President Marcos. No? In the past, there were direct flights. No? Before pandemic, Philippine Airlines flies non-stop from Manila to UK, to London Heathrow. No? Even many years ago, Air France also operated non-stop from Manila to
20 years ago.
20 years ago. It was a non-stop flight. I remember they were operating the Airbus 340 during the time. There were even flights from other countries to the Philippines, no? from Europe. No? But since the pandemic, these flights have stopped. No? The only European carrier that flies to the Philippines now is KLM, but it's not a non-stop flight. It's a flight from Amsterdam to Taipei to Manila, no? And back to Taipei and to Amsterdam. So this is not a non-stop flight. So this flight starting December 8 will be a non-stop flight.
For one follow-up question, for Ambassador Fontanel, maybe how do you see this impacting the people-to-people exchanges, for example, in terms of visa applications? Are you expecting an increase since you're opening a direct flight between Manila and Paris?
So definitely this is a very important milestone on the path to strengthening our bilateral relation. We have a long-standing relationship together, France and the Philippines, but having this direct flight, that was really, once again, a request, a Christmas wish from many Filipino and also French partners. I do hope it will have an impact. We are currently trying to adjust the numbers, the hypothesis, but we are doing, that a lot already in issuing visa. We might be the first country of European Union in numbers of visa every year. Last year was, to give you a number, 37,000 visas issued in this embassy for France. So yes, probably there will be an increase. So we are currently starting to work on this. We have been working a lot on considering the decision to reopen, and now, of course, the work starts or continues in another sense. We have to make this direct flight a success, and the question of the capacity to issue more visa will be at the center of our work.
Alexis Romero, Philippine Star.
Secretary, do you have figures on how many passengers are expected for every year bound for France?
Actually, we don't have right now that figure, no? But we'll get back to you. We'll ask the Department of Tourism, who's really working on these projections. No?
Okay. Vance Fernandez, DZRJ.
Good afternoon. How can DOTR sustain a non-stop flights, sir, between Manila and Paris? Because yung previous direct flight from Europe were matched by a very low fares from European airlines. Any reaction on this?
Well, I think the question should be directed to Air France. No?
Air France.
The question is exactly, could you repeat?
Yes, how can DOTR sustain a non-stop flights between Manila and Paris?
How can Air France sustain?
Yes, Air France. Rather, no? Kasi the Pulse previous direct flight to Europe were matched by very low fares from European airlines.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, any reaction on this?
Yeah, of course, we'll be offering the non-stop flight, so that's also an advantage to have that. For Filipinos, we know that Paris as a destination is very attractive, right? It's the second most visited destination in Europe. And we will be offering competitive fares, as competitive that it can make it work for both Air France as the airline, but also for the Filipino community and the French community to be able to travel to Paris and to discover both Paris and the rest of the network. We make sure we have good fares in place to make this work.
Do you have any amenities you are going to provide to your airlines?
Sorry?
Amenities.
Amenities.
Aside from the one you told us. Aside from
You would like to know also a bit of an idea on the fares? Is that, so we are actually launching the flights in the system just in the next hour. So we're starting the sales only today. In terms of the fares, yes, I do have some first insights. We'll have the economy fares. We'll have it starting from $12.58 US return fares.
12.50.
1258, yes, return fares.
Reasonable, very reasonable.
So we will also be launching some promotional fares in the next period. For this, I don't have the exact fares yet, but stay tuned. We're really launching today in the system. As mentioned, we've been working very much on getting all the necessary approvals. And stay tuned for more details on the promotional fares also.
Can I add?
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe not as ambassador, but as citizen and someone who sometimes also go on the booking website, and you know how it goes. I mean, sometimes for the exact same plane, you can have a different bunch of fares. So the important thing is to get tuned, and promotional offers will probably be very interesting. So if you want to benefit from them, please go and watch. Maybe, and it's not my hat, sorry to say, but it's always the question of if the direct flight is a success. Of course, it will help reduce the price. You know, it's a law of the market. So it's really difficult to have a definitive answer on that, because it really depends on the success. So it's of course a challenge for all of us, I would say, to make this direct flight a success. And we will learn by doing, because Air France has been out, I mean, not KLM, but Air France has been out of the country the last 20 years. So they will have also to catch up with how it goes here.
And maybe to add to that, indeed, it is in complement of KLM. So we have, of course, 7 flights a week, one non-stop and one with a short stop in Taipei. So we also have more capacity in the market, right? So we have more opportunities for you to book flights and to get access to fares as well.
Thank you very much.
Let's go back to Alexis Romero, Philippine Star.
How would you describe the Philippine market?
The Philippine market has always been on our radar. It's, of course, a market that is growing rapidly. You have a GDP of over 5%. So it's been always on the radar of Air France, especially our network teams in head office. Southeast Asia as a whole, and Asia is for us a key strategic market for Air France and KLM. And Philippines has, or interest-heavy, had operations in the past. Of course, post-COVID, the full airline industry situation has been complicated. So yes, we're very happy to announce. It will be a challenge, but with the Philippine market growing rapidly, with the GDP you're showing, knowing that Paris is the second most visited destination by Filipinos in Europe, we do believe there's a strong market. Also, of course, what makes Philippines market interesting is the seaman market that is here, the marine and offshore market that is quite big. This is a market that we serve already with KLM today. And for sure, we also will have opportunities to accommodate this traffic on the Air France non-stop flights. So it's for us a very interesting and strategic market.
Thank you.
Let's go to Ivan Marina first, GMA.
On a unrelated point, how about the interest of the French people on the Philippines? How would you describe it?
Yes. Yeah, I think the interest, the same way as from Filipino, I think the Paris is an interesting destination. From the French market as well, we have very high expectations. Actually, we expect also to sell quite a bit from our home market, France. There's a strong interest in tourist travel to Philippines. Of course, you have a rich country to discover in terms of opportunities to visit. So we really have very strong expectations also from traffic from France, but also the rest of Europe, also the other European markets. Yeah.
Madam, go ahead.
Maybe to complement on that, the framework is that the relationship between France and the Philippines is growing, and we intend to put the bilateral relationship on a more political and strategic level. So it goes also with the fact that both President Marcos, President Macron decided really to intensify and strengthen our ties. On the tourism sector, yes, definitely there would be an interest from my compatriots towards your country, which is so beautiful and so much to visit that when you start looking, you just want to come here. But it's true at the same time that the fact that there was no direct flight so far was really a barrier. And for European tourists, French tourists, you look at the map of Southeast Asia and you choose also your destination by the fact that there is or there is not a direct flight. And because we looked at the market indeed before getting into this process, and we saw, for example, that the UK, which was the last direct destination, the flight was stopped just after COVID, right, 2 or 3 years ago. The number of UK tourists in the Philippines is really more important than other European tourists. And it cannot just be explained by the fact that they are British and that we are European countries. It's really directly linked to the direct flight. So we do hope that this direct flight will open up for many more tourists of Europe, and particularly my country, but not only, to make the choice of the Philippines.
Just one quick clarification, Madam Ambassador. You said 37,000 visas issued or applications received? Issued. Thank you.
Last year, in 2023.
Maybe I should also ask, how hard is it to get a French visa?
Try. Give it a try.
Asking for a friend.
Okay. You have to plan in advance. That would be my only recommendation. You have to take a long time before applying. We opened last year, maybe you remember, 2 new visa centers for application, one in Manila, one in Cebu, TLS, and they offer a real comprehensive bunch of services to make the journey towards France a good journey, starting from the visa application. So you could have already a good experience in TLS. They are really welcoming, and there are different types of services, even an apply anywhere service. If you cannot go to TLS, they can come to you. But then, considering the high number of applications that we receive, there is still a delay. Usually, we try to maintain the delay below 1 month, but I have to say that right now, which is a starting of a very intensive period of time, it's 6 weeks, for example. So my only advice is plan in advance to get the better fare of the plane and to get a visa in time.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Sam Medanilia, Business Mirror.
For secretaries or other cities of France. In the past, Philippine Airlines used to fly also to Paris. That was many years ago. And I remember the flight stops in 2 cities before reaching Paris. No? So now it's very different. The airplanes are more modern. They can fly long haul. We call this long haul aircraft. So that's why it's a non-stop flight from France to Manila. No? But yes, we have landing rights with France. No?
Aside from France, is the OTR also considering signing similar direct flight agreements with other European countries?
Actually, we have air services agreements with many European countries. We have air service agreement with even EU. Actually, we have an open skies agreement with EU, which we signed 2 years.
Direct flight between Manila and Paris a success. What glaring hurdles are you seeing right now, and how do you intend to resolve them in the near future?
Actually, we have already approved it after facing all the challenges. One of the major challenges that we experienced in having this is the slot availability. No? Because MAAA or NAIA is a very congested airport, no? but we were able to find a slot, no? Because Air France should leave sometime between 9:50 to 10:30 for it to be able to arrive in Paris early morning. No? And I think that's what Air France wants, and they don't want to stay much longer here in Manila, because I understand that the airplane arrives at 7:30 in the evening, and it cannot leave immediately because the airport in Paris is still closed. That's why it has to leave between 9:50 to 10:30. So that's one that we were able to solve.
That's quite important, the early arrival also in Paris, to ensure that we have all the connections to the other destinations. If you think about the seafarers, the marine and offshore segment, there's quite some demand also to influence UK, Northern Europe, Central South America. So we want to make sure that from Paris also the connectivity is good, and Filipinos can also connect to other destinations from Paris Airport.
Yes.
Maybe to add, just because the question was for the three of us. So, when we look and we know the long way that had to be overcome to arrive here today. So when we see all the steps that we had to solve, it gives us confidence that the following steps will be also solved in the future. But I think it's like, I don't want to talk in the shoes of a private sector company, but commercial issues is always a question of competition, and the success is never written in advance, right? Otherwise, there wouldn't be any difficult investments to be made. So the fact that we are cautious and that we know that we will have to overlook the implementation of the direct flight is just a precaution to be sure that it will be a huge success, what we really do think. And it is already a great achievement why we are here today.
Of course, the connectivity is very important. The period is quite short as well, right? We'll have our first flight departing from Manila the 8th of December. So the booking window is relatively short, so that makes it a bit more challenging. We also know that the market is a bit more late booking. So indeed, we do have confidence that this will be a success. That combined with the non-stop service and having the connectivity to go to destinations beyond Paris, we think there's quite some potential for these flights. Yeah. Special purpose for that? For the inaugural flights. We'll come back on that.
Any suggestions? Secretary, did you want to say something?
Actually, one of the challenges is for us to be able to finish all the requirements. You know that there are documentary requirements that government agencies need. No? For one, there's a requirement for SEC registration. There's a requirement for CAB hearing. No? And we tried our best to complete all this so that Air France can make this announcement early, so that they can also sell the tickets. As mentioned by Ms. Croes, the market normally buys ticket in advance. No? And with the earliest announcement, Air France will be able to sell more seats before Christmas. No?
So we will be launching this afternoon in the system.
This afternoon.
Okay.
So a lot of great. You're having the first announcement. We will be launching after, yes, later this afternoon.
Well, I think we have explained a lot of great news today. Thank you so much for choosing to announce this great news of direct flights between Paris and Manila here in front of the Malacañang Press Corps. Of course, this is great news not just for travelers, but also for the relationship between the Philippines and France and the rest of the EU, and all the possibilities that it brings for not just tourism, but of course trade as well. So thank you again, Secretary Bautista, Ambassador Fontanelle, and Ms. Cruzo. And thank you, Malacañang Press Corps. This concludes our press briefing.
Thank you very much. Thank you.